Hey everybody, my name is Dowden. We're going to be using something called mid-side saturation. So we're going to be boosting the side signals with saturation to give us a brighter and a wider sounding mix. Keeping in mind that this won't work if your mix is down mixed to mono. As part of this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can use this in a way that is not going to compromise the quality of your mix so that you can have mono compatibility as well. Let's go ahead and dive into it. So I just have this drum loop here. First and foremost, I want to make sure that this audio signal that I'm using for this example is not in mono, because if it is not stereo, then it's not going to have the side image that we want to be saturating. So I can check that by using a utility and listening that if it's in mono, it sounds a little bit different than it's in stereo by just hearing the width in the actual headphones or in the speakers. So we can go ahead. So when I push the width over 100% and then bring it down to 0%, I can hear that there is a difference in the width of the sound. So I can tell that there is stereo image there. Next, what I'm going to do is grab an audio effects rack, throw it on there, and I'm going to grab a saturator and an EQ8. And then I'm going to go into the chains list. I'm going to duplicate this chain, but I'm going to take the saturator out of the second chain. So I just have an EQ. Next, I'm going to rename this one to wet and then stereo in brackets. And then this one I'm going to put to dry and in mono. So what I'm going to do in the dry mono is I'm actually going to remove the side frequencies using the mid-side EQing. So I'm going to go into the mode here, mid-side EQ, and I'm actually just going to change to side and filter out all the side frequencies from this sound. So this dry signal has no side frequency, so no stereo spectrum per se. So we can take a listen to what it sounds like. And now when I change the utility, you won't be able to hear a difference, because there's no width to the sound. It's just a mono signal now. And now I go into the stereo image and I do the complete opposite. So I go into the EQ mid side and I'm going to take out the mid of this stereo image. And then I'm going to go to the sides and I'm going to boost the sides. But I'm only going to boost at maybe like 6 or 7K because I want to get like the airiness and the sparkle. So I'm going to actually filter out the sides up to about 1K as well. So I'm only getting this area, really pushing the sides of the mix. And then I'm going to saturate. So I'm going to push this up to about 12 or 13 decibels, and then I'm going to reduce the output by about 10. And this is where things are important to pay attention to, because if we are only using a wet signal of totally stereo signal, and we reduce this to a mono mix, we totally will lose the signal. As soon as I start bringing the width back in, that's why it's so important that we make sure that we are mono compatible, because if we relied only on this stereo image, we down mix to mono, we're going to lose that signal completely or almost completely depending on the rest of the mix. So that is why I have this dry signal as well. And it is optional. You don't have to put it in mono. You could have the regular signal and then add additional stereo processing as well. But for the sake of the video, to really show you the difference, I wanted to do it like this and to make sure that you know how to keep it in mono as well. So let's take a listen with and without the stereo saturation being added onto the mono signal. And before we do that, I'm just going to reduce just slightly the volume because I don't want it to sound better just because it's a little bit louder. So there we go. Let's listen before and after mid-side saturation. You'll definitely be able to hear this on high quality headphones and high quality speakers. We're just opening up that spectrum and pushing the sides so that it sounds really, really wide. But again, once we down mix to mono, even if this stereo imaging is on, we're going to lose it. No difference. Technically, you could just do this on one signal. You could just have this signal running here without the dry mono. You could add the saturation and you could bring back in your mid signal. And you will still get that saturated wide signal, but I like to do it with a mono signal as well. So I know for sure I have control over both the mono and the stereo imaging. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And if you like this video, make sure to give me a thumbs up.